of Straight Talk Live. And don't forget to follow the community code of conduct because it'll keep you out of those situations. Go to cb.org and see what the community code of conduct is in our community. Let us minimize conflict, maximize cooperation so that we can produce constructive outcomes that solve black problems. That's what we're all about. That is what we mean by a community code of conduct. If we function that way, we can have positive and constructive male-female relationships where everybody is shown respect. That is the key to all of this. All right, Bill Cosby was found guilty, but he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years. And they took him away right away. I mean, this is an 81-year-old brother who is, I believe, said to be partially blind. But he was shown, it's just an incredible situation. A lot of black people around the world in the community are saddened, but not everyone. Some of them I saw, somebody told me they saw some group of women, black and white, cheering the decision. So some women are saying, yeah, he did it, he should go. And others are saying it's a sad day that someone like this. Now, Cosby has been historic in the amount of money and the amount of assistance and help he's given black people, black colleges. Even Central State University was a huge recipient of millions of dollars down the road. And they turned their back on Cosby long before he was convicted of anything, just because he was accused. And that's what we say. Accusation now means guilty if you're a man. Accusation now means guilty. And if you're a black male, you can forget it because it's always been guilty before innocent. And we saw it on full display with Bill Cosby, who went from being a so-called America's dad. You knew then that was probably a setup. From going to be America's dad to now what he is being called of all names, a rapist. Oh, my God. And in a case, Byron Pott, that was already settled with this Costan. They had already come. He had already paid her millions of dollars. Somebody went in and drug it up and said, no, we're going to get him. Why were they after Bill Cosby? Why Bill Cosby about? Now, I'm not saying he didn't do or did do. I don't know. But there are a lot of questions that have to be asked, such as why were you doing in Camille's house when she wasn't there? It's a whole lot of why were you there after midnight? It's a whole lot of questions that have to be asked. And the era of time, all that stuff gets mixed up. But whatever it is, he has been found guilty and he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years. So he is getting probably the worst punishment possible. Joining me to discuss this is, of course, Mr. Neely Fuller, who is a regular contributor here on Straight Talk Live. Mr. Fuller, how are you?
I'm still learning.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, you have some thoughts on this Bill Cosby situation in terms of the symbolism, in terms of what it means. Could you kind of give us your thoughts on how you view this situation, not only just related to Bill Cosby, but on the condition of black males being guilty before innocent? Mr. Fuller.
Well, for one thing, we're in a system called a world government called the system of white supremacy. And so I can't determine the guilt or innocence about these specific charges of Mr. Bill Cosby. But within the system of white supremacy, I do know that the victims of racism, the people who are in the system, the non-white people of this global system, this global government called the system of white supremacy, are under the tutelage of the white supremacists. I mean, they are our guide. I mean, the suits and ties and all like that. That's the basic guide at a root level of how to dress,
Mm-hmm.
support yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's in one context. But the white supremacists also have a long history of murder, rape, supremacism is murder, rape, robbery, theft. That's what it is. This, when you have a system that's designed to mistreat people based on color,
Mm-hmm.
and the record shows, in which the white supremacists themselves brag about, they say they encountered some people that they call the dark people of the world, and a lot of occasions they call them Indians, or they call them Negroes, or Africans, or savages, or whatever.
You're absolutely correct, because the log of Christopher Columbus says exactly just that. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, so whenever they encounter these people, they say these people are to be taught our ways, okay? So therefore, whomever your teacher is, you can expect to act the way that your conqueror, your teachers, and all sociologists have said that people have a tendency to always copy the ways of their masters, their conquerors. I mean, because what else do they have as a guide? And they kind of look up to their conquerors and say, whatever our conquerors do, that's what we do. So if the people that conquered us by murder, rape, robbery, and theft, they teach us rape, robbery, murder, and theft, the big four. And then also going along with that, throw in a great deal of hypocrisy and deception, because a lot of murder, rape, robbery, and theft is done initially by deception. Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer, if you use him as an example, and I sometimes tell people that if you study the history of that person, Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer, and people can look it up, Jeffrey Dahmer on the internet, back in the 1970s, and his method for going about seducing people using deception, being hypocritical, all right, and then it would evolve into all sorts of what you might call sexual and racial exploitation, and then murder. I mean, and then I don't know if you can call raping a corpse is rape. That's what he was doing, according to the reports that I read. And so he's the epitome, really. He's a white man who is the epitome and the grandest expression on an individual level of the entire system of white supremacy.
Mr. Fuller, living
world government that
right.
dominates the minds of everybody.
Mr. Fuller, hold up for a second. Living under the conditions that we're living under, that you have described, how should black males in particular deal with women, not only black women, but white women, so-called Latino women, so-called Asian women, so-called white, etc., so-called black? How should black males in particular deal with females going forward? Mr. Fuller.
Just consider them as being victims, too. All non-white people are victims, male and female. So we're just prisoners of war.
No. Now, I understand that. What I mean is, what is it that we can and should not say or do in relationship to them? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, well, for one thing, I have in my book in the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, the counter-racist guide, that first of all, in any interaction, you have to have complete and total honesty. I mean, no longer any game plan of any kind, even the formats that are given, like Valentine's Day and all like that. Just forget about all that. Just sit down and talk. Sit down and talk honestly. Even a thing called a date. We have to do a whole lot of changes in the way we go about doing things. No longer have dates. What is a date anyway? What is a date for? I mean, is it supposed to be some type of introduction between male and female? So this introductory phase is called a date. And what does a date consist of? I mean, do you bring a box of chocolates and bring some flowers? All of that should be forgotten about.
What?
I mean, just scrap all of that. I mean, and just sit down and just...
No chocolates? Wait a minute, no flowers? What?
No, none of the traditional ceremonies. We don't need any more ceremonies. ceremonies. We have enough ceremonies. We need to get rid of most of them. Ceremonies of any kind.
So ceremonies get us in trouble.
Oh, ceremonies are mostly play acting. We don't need any more play acting of any kind. Of any kind. Just be straight honest.
Well, the word romance means to lie. It basically means to tell somebody a lie.
Oh no, yes. I mean, romanticism is all play acting, like you're in a play, in a high school play. That's what that is. Get rid of all of that. I mean, that's a lot of nonsense. It's juvenile. It's not grown up. It's not businesslike, and it definitely isn't like you're on a wartime footing. See, we have to be in a wartime mode because we're in a war. So we need to grow up. We can't do any playing at all. Period.
All right, then I've got
play on a battlefield.
I've got people waiting to ask you questions. Who's first? Q. Grab it. We call him the lawless Q. Q, go to the mic. Go ahead. Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute, Q. Let me do justice to you. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So, I guess one of my main questions is that one of the things that caught out to me was you were saying that we should not do the forms of like dating as it's known now.
No chocolate. No chocolate, son. No flowers. Forget all of that. No romantic stuff.
One of the key things that you said was like we should be honest. So like when you say that, do you mean that we should be honest with like our intentions, or like do you think that like it should be just like, well, here's my basis of what I want and what have yous?
No, well, the first thing is four universal things that always fit every minute of every day. All right, so start off with male with female. You want to establish one main thing to start with, and this is just an opener.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nowhere near the complete package.
Okay.
But you always start with anybody, male or female, if every day, starting with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to the four wants, and I have them listed on page 171, 172 of the textbook.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants something every minute of every day, all right? And it applies to everybody everywhere on the planet. Oh, and they are, what is it you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
Number two?
Why do you want to do it? Number three, how do you plan to do what it is you want to do? And number four, what do you expect the constructive result to be?
Mm-hmm.
Now, anytime you're discussing anything, in a school, anywhere, and this just doesn't apply to male-female relationships, it applies to all situations because it clears the air right quick. I mean, it's what you call a slam dunk.
Okay, give me an example of how this could be applied when a man meets a woman at a club. How should he approach that woman so that he doesn't get himself into a sexual harassment or a derogatory situation? Mr. Fuller.
Well, you just start off saying just that. Just those words. What do you want to do? Or you can, within the context of the person who is speaking, what do you want me to do? Why do you want me to do it? How do you plan for me to do it? Since you want me to do it, what's your plan for me?
Okay, suppose she says, I want you to go to bed with me tonight. What should you do, Mr. Fuller?
The question is what now?
The question is, suppose she says, I want you to go to bed with me tonight. I want to sleep with you tonight. I just like the way you look and I want to be with you tonight. What should that male do?
Well, according to the code, I got a whole lot before anybody gets in bed with anybody. Now, this is where it really gets sticky.
All right, let's get sticky.
Okay. Now, it's about 100, at least 100, and I have listed, I say around 200. It should round off maybe, or maybe a little better than that. 200 questions that should be asked and answered by each one. The two people asked and answered and agreed upon. They will ask and answer all of those questions, anywhere from 175 to 200.
And that's before they go to bed, before they even come nowhere near it.
Before they go anywhere near. any situation where they're going to engage in sexual intercourse and or sexual play.
Okay.
It's going to all be talk, lots of talk, and that talk is going to consist of, if you're going to have what you call clarity, and you're not going to have any misunderstandings anywhere down the road, because there's three words that you always hear when you hear about any kind of dissension between male and female for the most part.
And what are those three?
To stand out. I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know. You know, and sometimes it's if I had known. You know, I wish I had known. I didn't know you were like that. I didn't know you were on parole. Well, you didn't ask. We never discussed it. Discussed that. All right. I didn't know that you were on the down low. All right. No, well, you didn't ask. We never discussed that. You know, I didn't know that you have 8 babies. You know, oh, well, we didn't discuss that. That never came up. You know, I mean, we'd been to bed maybe 30 times before that even came up.
Wow.
All right. Now, you know, if I had known, I wish I had known. You should have told me. I didn't know. If I had known you were like that, I never would have gotten mixed up with you in the first place. This always comes up. It's always a lack of knowledge. That's what it is. So what you do before you ever get in that bedroom, it's not going to ever be a question you're going to ask, because you're going to know everything before you ever get in that bed. You don't have no more questions, because everything was settled before you ever got to the bedroom. You know everything that there is to know about that other person, and that person knows everything there is to know about you that will ever come up anywhere. So if anybody ever says anything, you say, I already know that.
Well, Mr. Fuller, suppose some of the questions border on what the other person might consider as sexual harassment. Do you still ask that question, or do you back off?
Oh, you agree to ask all the questions, or you just skip over that question. You say, I'm not answering questions like that. But you both have to agree. But once you agree that you're not going to talk about this particular issue, you cannot bring it up later.
Barbara, you got any questions you want to ask, Mr.
The magic of it. You cannot bring it up later at no time.
Barbara, jump in here.
I mean, that's why you say, and you might have to just say, well, hey, we're going to have to postpone this conversation because I'm going to have to think about this. This is okay. See, it's 100% democratic. See, when two people get together, that's 100% democratic, and it should be 100%. I mean, no slacking off, nothing. I mean, you know, you don't spare nothing. But you agree, you might agree, that out of 150 questions, you're going to ask and answer only 10. But you can't bring them up later. See, that's where the dynamite goes off.
Mr. Fuller, let me ask you a very, very strong question here. Should black males, under the conditions at which you talk about, should black males have sex or get involved with white females?
Absolutely not.
Why?
We're in the system of white supremacy. It's because the white partner is always the aggressor. We are in a war. Now, if we take the position we are not in a war, then that's the position you took. But white supremacy either exists or it doesn't. And prisoners of war are black people. We're all prisoners of war. And any white person that has sexual intercourse, according to logic, is an aggressor against that non-white person, against that black person.
Well, wait a minute. Why is that, Mr. Fuller? Can't they be in love with the person?
Because the white person is in a powerful position. Sexual intercourse is supposed to take place between equals. A prisoner of war is not equal to the prison master. And every white person in the system of white supremacy, by position alone, is a prison master over every black person on the planet. That is a fact in the system of white supremacy. Now, there are people who will say, oh, Fuller, white supremacy doesn't even exist. Well, now, then, that's when the discussion stops. Because the premise is always that white supremacy is the only government on the entire planet. There are no other governments.
Interesting.
Names and titles that have been just thrown out there. I mean, presidents of black countries and all like that. There's no such thing as that. The white supremacists preside over all of that. Everything that black people do on this planet. That's what white supremacy means.
Okay, hold on.
It is true that there is no white supremacy. But if you accept the fact that you have a system of government, world government, see, because it's got to be a world. Otherwise, it's not supreme.
Mr. Fuller, hold on just for a second. Wait, there's something I need to do. Oh, yeah, community meeting is coming up tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. The topic of the discussion is State Issue 1. You've got to be there. It's at the OSU Extension Center. An incredible lineup of debaters, including an Ohio Supreme Court judge. You must be there. It's tomorrow night at the OSU Extension Center, 905 Mount Vernon Avenue in Columbus, Ohio. For more information, what number can they call, Barbara Clark?
They can call 614-517-2002. This is being hosted by the Black Women's Voters League, the Columbus Kappa Foundation, the Columbus Civilian Community Board, and the OSU African American Studies Center.
This is State Issue 1. You're going to be required to vote on that. Mr. Fuller, let's take some calls. We got a lot of people waiting to talk to you.
I just have one question
for
Mr.
ahead.
Fuller.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Fuller, in the rape conversation, when using power and position and deception, does that equal rape?
Does what?
When you use your power and position and deception, does that equal rape?
When you use your power and position.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that, Barbara?
You know, because of who I am, the money, the position I am in the community or status. Or
so you're saying rape is about power?
Right.
Is that
power
what you're saying?
Position.
Power and position.
When you use that, is that considered rape?
Is that considered rape, Mr. Fuller?
Well, the individual person that's involved in it can do that, but here again, I'm talking about the details. See, in order to have a rape, that's details. In other words, where are you at a particular time? What did you agree to do? That's all it is. I mean, you know, it's not all that complicated. What did you agree to do, all right, and not do? Now, if you said, I'm not going to do this, and the other person says you are going to do it because I said so, that is rape. Because that's aggression of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when I use deception? And because I have power and position, and you believe I'm someone else.
Okay, you're talking about deception now.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime a person fools another person to their detriment, that is an act of aggression. That is an act of injustice. See, this whole thing is about justice. What is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. That's the compensatory definition for justice, one that I made up. I think it's the best one. Okay? So all you have to ask is, am I being mistreated? If you're being mistreated under any circumstance, whether it's rape circumstances, whether it's employment, any type of mistreatment is something that is non-just, because we're talking about justice here.
You can get Mr. Fuller's books by going to producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. I think we got time to at least take the question. Caller, you on the air, even though I want you to hold on. But go ahead and make your statement, man. Ask your question real quick. Go ahead, caller.
All right. Let me just say this. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Mm-hmm. The young lady, she just asked, the deception.
I'll tell you what, my brother. Stay on the line, and as you know, I will keep you right there. Everybody, stay right there. We are talking about the Bill Cosby verdict. We're talking about the issue of rape. We're talking with Mr. Neely Fuller, and we'll need to hear from you. What do you think about this? What questions you have for Neely? What statements you want to make? Don't forget about the community meeting coming up tomorrow night at the Black Studies Extension Center. Stay right there. Woo! Of Straight Talk Live with Kahari and Howard. Joining me is attorney Byron Potts, Barbara Clark, president of the Black Voters League, Black Jesus, Nuff Said, and the Lawless Q. All of them in the house, along with Mr. Neely Fuller, the author of the textbook for victims of white supremacy. And also, if you want his book, you can go to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. Before I move back to Mr. Fuller, Byron Potts, at this meeting tomorrow night. Tell us about it. Woo!
You got to come out to this meeting because we want to make sure you understand what's going on with Issue 1. Issue 1 can have far-reaching effects on us. So you need to be there at 6 o'clock. We're starting at 6 o'clock sharp. We're not going to wait for people that are late. We're going to start at 6 o'clock sharp. And we want you to get the information so you can make an informed decision. We don't support it one way or the other. Now, individually, we're allowed to do that, but collectively in the different organizations that are doing it. So come out on October 1st, 905 Mount Vernon Avenue at the OSU Black Studies Extension Center, OSU Black Studies Extension Center. And we'll also feed you. So you don't have to worry about stopping and getting anything to eat.
We got some good food for you.
Everything's free.
Oh!
And it's going to be standing room only. We got judges coming. We got individual pastors coming. It's just going to be a great event to get some good information. Be there. Be there.
And if I
we
could
got the
just
judge
say,
from the Ohio Supreme. We got an Ohio Supreme Court justice who will be a part of this, as well as a municipal court judge.
No, he's a common police court judge.
Common police court judge.
The head judge, Judge McIntosh,
judge
is the administrative judge for the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas.
We got some powerful people there, and we got some powerful pastors there. This ought to be dynamite, and some other folk have been invited and will participate. This is dynamite. Robert Clark, quickly.
This is just one of the many conversations we'll be having to educate people on the issues and asking the people running what are their self-interest issues that pertain to us and how it affects our lives. So we go into the polls with a informed mind in who we vote for and what we vote for, so that we have accountability in the political process.
All right. Okay. So don't forget tomorrow night. Woo! It all jumps off starting at 6 o'clock. You don't want to miss the Supreme Court Justice is going to be there. Head of the Common Pleas Court's going to be there. Oh, my God, Byron Potts is going to be there. Everybody, big-time preachers coming all the way from Toledo are going to be there. It's going to be off the chain. State Issue 1, dealing with incarceration and drugs. Woo! How will it affect us? We had better be there. No more Monday Night Football. Get out of Monday Night Football don't start at 8 o'clock, no way. So get your butt down there. You will be fed. There will be food free. Everything is free. Be there tomorrow night starting at 6 o'clock at the Mount Vernon at the OSU Extension Center, 905 Mount Vernon Avenue, Columbus, Ohio.
And we'll also, one more thing, we'll also have the Black Unity Coalition there checking to see if you are still on the roll. They will be doing voter registration.
All right, then. All right, now, okay. Now, Mr. Fuller, these two young men, I call one the Lawless Q and the other is the Black Jesus. Now, both of them have some concerns about these 200 questions. Black Jesus, let me turn to you, and then Lawless Q, I'll go to you next. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to be honest. For young people, 200 questions is a lot. And when you're looking at the step process, you see the introduction where you're saying, what do you want, how you want it, etc. And then you say you move on to the 200 questions. Well, what is the next step after that? Because if we actually go through those 200 questions, I honestly don't know if I want to continue.
So you think you might get 200 lies?
I might get 200 lies, or I might just get bored asking and receiving those 200 questions.
Mr. Fuller, you want to respond?
Well, in other words, the issue would become that somebody might be lying.
Black?
Yes.
No, well, once a person tells this one lie, it's all downhill anyway. I mean, this conversation is over.
But how do you're not going to know until it actually happens, though.
Wait a minute. See, everything, in order to really undo the system of racism, which is ultimately what we're supposed to be doing, we're not just supposed to be on this planet just running around trying to figure out a way to have fun. That is why we're in the shape that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Black people are fun people. We are always looking for a way to have fun, but you can't have fun in the middle of a war. When people are making war against you, it's not fun time. You have to get on a wartime footing. Now, if we're still concentrating on, well, I don't have time to deal with the problems of the world, I just want to have fun, then that means you don't want to solve problems. but you're going to cry about the problems you're going to have as a result of being on a fun agenda rather than a wartime agenda.
So you hear what he's saying to you?
I mean, well, yes. I mean, you know, you can only have what you call soldiers type fun. All right, soldiers fun. It doesn't amount to very much. Anybody that's been a soldier and been on a battlefield and whatnot, if you look at the movie Saving Private Ryan, there was a sniper that was talking to this captain, and he said, "Captain, I want you to know something. This mission that you are fixing to have us go on, I don't feel good about it." And the captain asked him, "When's the last time you felt good about anything?" Now, what he really meant was, you are a soldier on a battlefield, and you're talking about feeling good? You're talking about having fun? You're not in a nightclub. You're on a battlefield. People are dying. People are dying. People are going to die in the next 15 minutes on this mission, okay? You might be one of them. And you're trying to figure out a way to have some fun, all right? You're not logical. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what black people need to do all over the world.
Hold on for a minute, Mr. Fuller. Hold on, Mr. Fuller. Let me go to the lawless Q. Q, you had a statement about the 200 questions. Go ahead.
I got a statement about the 200 questions because, like, I took notes about what you had said about what you want, how you want it, why you want it, and everything, and it actually kind of coincides with what you just said about having fun. Now people might consider this fun, but if I want to procreate and I'm like, this is just what I want to do. This is whether it be a release.
So let me be clear. If you meet the woman,
if I meet a woman, I want to have sex with
and
the
you
woman.
want to have sex with the woman,
yes.
Then what? And what are you saying? What are you
yes.
saying that
and
you
if I
say
tell,
to
and
her?
if I tell the woman, hey, you look real, I find you gorgeous. I want to have sex with you for the night. This is what my intentions are. That cuts out half of those 200 questions.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me let Mr. Fuller respond. Does that cut out those 200 questions, Mr. Fuller?
Yes, it does. But she has to agree to that. But I'm saying this is not the best arrangement for black people to keep going forward with, because it gets into a mentality where both the female, maybe not on that occasion, and the male, all right, are not serious about relationships, all right? This is the slave type of interaction.
Wow.
In other words, two slaves at the bottom of the slave ship.
Woo!
And they're having sexual intercourse all over the ship, okay? But they're still slaves. See, everything that black people do should be on a wartime footing that's addressed to racism. Now, that's a hard pill for us to follow. But we keep complaining about being shot down in the streets, about black people, not being respected. Well, look at black people. Are black people the criteria for what somebody from another planet would want to follow? I mean, our lifestyle is nothing but what? Tacky, trashy, terroristic. That's the black lifestyle in the system of white supremacy, and we have gotten real comfortable with that.
Question number 2.
Tacky. It doesn't get any better than tacky. Even the way that black people talk to each other, it's just tacky as it can be. There's nothing productive about it. About the only time black people make sense in anything is when we're talking about sports. We start talking about anything else, it's all a bunch of this all over the place, because we don't even like to talk about anything else. Sports, sex. Sex, sport. Sports, sex. Sex, sport.
So, question.
Our conversation goes bankrupt. All right? And then we say, people, they don't respect us. Black lives matter. Black lives don't matter to anybody who matters.
I hear what you're talking about, and I hear what you're saying. Wow. But don't you think that having such a materialistic mindset, because I'm gonna keep it real with you, that materialistic mindset that we've been having for the last 50 years has not produced anything healthy.
Minute,
but
hold on, Q. Hold on. He's trying to answer. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Neely. Neely, go ahead.
Oh, okay. What I am saying is, either we are going to be serious people and what we like to brag about, being grown up, or we're going to remain childlike, which is what the white supremacist says that we are. We are childlike people. We are foolish like 3-year-olds in everything that we do. We're not even interested in anything that goes beyond a 3-year-old mentality. I mean, just everything is just some type of plan, some type of foolishness. Let's get together and have some type of, see what kind of foolishness we can come up with. Never anything that's serious and constructive.
I disagree with you.
Even when we call ourselves being serious and constructive, it's all a bunch of foolishness. All right? If we can't put foolishness in it, we don't even want to have anything to deal with it. We run from it. Literally run. Tear down the doors getting away from it. Why? It's understandable because we have been in so much misery for so long. So we're just searching for anything that we can just laugh about and just turn flips about and whatnot. We're always looking for that. It's understandable. But people who have been like that all through history has always been taken advantage of by people who burn midnight oil thinking about being super powerful over other people. And the white supremacists have done that. So we can't keep complaining about our plight and not having a code like the white supremacists do for every move that we make. Now, they do some stupid stuff. You can see that going on right now on Capitol Hill and all like that. But most of the things that they do, most of the things that we enjoy, in fact, all the things that we enjoy, black people throughout the entire world, are things that are provided by the white supremacists, either directly or indirectly.
So,
because we don't even have time to figure out how to make a limousine and whatnot. We don't have time for that. Why? I don't have time to think about anything serious. My life is short. I got to have fun. I got to have fun. I got to have fun. I got to have fun.
Okay, all right. Hold on to Miss Bill. Byron, you made a comment about the Cosby thing when we took some time down. Could you repeat that about this deal that he had made with Andrea Costan? I believe that's her name.
Well, when you settle a case, you do it by contract. You do a settlement agreement, and it's a contract. Now, in the terms of the contract, there's confidentiality, and they weren't supposed to disclose any terms of the settlement or whether any of this happened, and then she breaches the confidentiality. Does she have to pay the money back? It's a breach of contract. Shouldn't she be required to pay the money back?
Interesting. All right, Byron Potts is a legal practicing attorney. He's attorney at law. His slogan is no case is too big or no case is too little.
Too small.
Too small, I'm sorry.
No case is too big or too small.
Give it to Carl. Flip it, mix it.
Remix it, do all that. Q, help him out, man.
No cases too big or too small. But Byron Potts.
This is a lawless Q in the house.
Byron L.
Get it right. Get it right. All right, let's go to the caller. Caller, you on there with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Brother Kahari, everything that Dr. Neely Fuller said was extremely on point. You know, they call us a minority. And the legal definition of minor is someone who has to have their affairs taken care of for them.
Wow.
And that's exactly what we are. We're
deep.
People who act so childish.
Yes.
So childish, Brother Kahari, listen, do you know that black men, just like I believe it was Q who said, just would like to have sex with women for a night?
Yes.
Do you know why so many men do that?
Why?
Because they don't want the responsibility of building a relationship and being responsible, each and every day while they're in one.
Is that true,
They
Q?
just want to have sex with the woman and go back home and live with their mom.
Woo!
Listen. Do you know if you pick 10 doors on any street in the city of Columbus, if you knock on at least 7 out of that 10, there is a grown son with no job, not going to school, that's going to answer that door. Listen, our sons are being
That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's not true, and that's a setup. Let me tell you something.
Wait a minute.
There's
Barbara,
no mother.
Barbara, hold up. Let him finish. I'll give you a chance to respond. Go ahead, caller.
Do you know that at least 70% of the sons that are being brought up in America under single parenthood? Now, I'm not just blaming women. See, when women hear me say things like this, they think I'm automatically blaming them. But if there is no father there, then the mother should try to at least make sure that she surrounds herself with enough men to help her child become a man.
Constructive men. Constructive men.
Well, but 70% of our African American men is you're perpetuating a myth that's right. What they do, and we're part of the problem. I don't believe it's that many. There's too many. I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. There's too many, but there ain't 70% of us that are out
because
there.
A mother not going to let you live there, and you're not working.
No, it's not.
That's the one thing. She's going to encourage you.
Barbara.
She's going to encourage you.
True,
that's
Barbara.
your little percent card. But she's going to encourage you to get out there and get a job. She's going to encourage you to get a job. That's any mother.
You know what? First and foremost, if you have an adult son at home, you shouldn't have to encourage him to do what he knows is necessary. It don't stop him not doing anything. Don't stop him.
I'm a push him.
But
I'm a push him.
70%? Come on, man.
I'm a push him to get a job. I'm gonna have a conversation. Maybe it's something I lacked.
Hold on.
Maybe.
Let me bring Mr. Fuller. We got just a few minutes left. Let me bring you in on this. Is there a problem with black males staying at home too much, and does this lead to some of the problems that we are dealing with? Mr. Fuller.
Well, I've said we don't have dealing with racism as the priority in our existence. That's where the root of the problem is. That's both black males and females.
Mm-hmm.
What is our priorities? When we wake up in the morning, what do we think about more than anything? We think about going somewhere where we can get enough resources to do what? To have fun. See, we are fun-loving people. We can't deny that. There's nothing incorrect about fun, but when a whole world is looking at us, the world of white supremacy, and saying they are fun-loving people, but their way of having fun is not our way. What the white supremacists call fun is conquering people, all right? That's why they're good at it, okay? They burn midnight oil figuring out how they can take advantage of people on a world scale.
You know,
Black people in our minds have nothing in mind like that of preventing being taken over by that. That should be our priority. But if we tell the truth, see, we lie to ourselves about what we really want to do. That's why I say those 4 wants are very important. What do you want most out of this existence, the little time you have on this planet? And it's not fighting racism. See, the average black person who will say that, oh yeah, I want to be successful, and I want black people to get ahead. I want black people to get out of this shape that they are in. And all, we are not telling the truth most of the time when we say that.
Okay, Mr. Fuller.
The whole time we are doing this talking,
Miss-
we are thinking about the next party.
Mr. Fuller, we've come up against the clock. How can we get your work, Mr. Fuller? And the names of them real quick.
JusticeJustice.com.
All right.
And what will come up on the screen is all the information you need for ordering.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fuller. We always appreciate you, and we appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, then. Okay.